So I went to New Orleans last week as an anniversary trip with Mrs. Hum, my wife, of course. We've been married for 15 years now. Believe it or not, someone has been putting up with me for 15 years. And surprise, surprise, I bought a musical instrument while I was there. I was poking my head in and out of shops that I thought might have musical instruments. I found myself at a consignment shop and I saw this case. And my first thought was, whatever is inside that case, if there's anything at all, is gonna be junk. So I did what anyone would do. I cracked it open to take a peek. And I found this. Let's see if I can open it. There we go. A 6-string banjitar. Look at that. My first thought was like, okay, all right, not what I was expecting, a banjitar. And then I picked it up and it's like, hey, that neck actually seems kind of great, seems kind of cool. And there's a lot of details here where everything seems to be in really good shape. I'm not seeing any significant damage. It looks like it's been played very well, which gives me hope that it is a nice playing, worthwhile instrument. It's got an odd detail with a piece of cardboard underneath the bridge. It has some writing on the skin here. It's got some markings underneath. So I took some pictures. I was giving it a close look and my wife and I decided, let's keep moving, let's keep walking around. And I kept looking at the pictures, kept looking at the details. I started Googling and looking things up. I started texting people and I was like, I gotta go back and get it. So we walked back to the consignment shop in the hot, hot summer heat of New Orleans and I paid $300 for this. But what is this? What is this thing? This is a Vega Little Wonder, and it has a serial number in there. And I actually have a friend who works at Deering Banjos right now. Local company, believe it or not, in San Diego. Deering Banjos is in San Diego. And I used to play gigs with this friend. His band would play the same gigs my band was playing and things like that. So I hit him up and I was like, hey, what's the story with this thing? What do I need to know? And he looked at the serial and he found out that this is a 100-year-old banjitar. It was made in 1921. And I had my suspicions that it was very old, but 100 years. I now am the owner of a 100-plus-year-old banjo guitar. But I paid $300 for it, and I feel really good about that purchase. I've actually looked up what these go for, and I think I got the cheapest one. So if I ever decide that I don't want to have this anymore, there's an easy flip there. I'm assuming there's an easy flip there. But it's also something really cool that I bought on my anniversary trip with my wife to a place that was really freaking cool. And I don't know if I'll ever go back, but I had an amazing time on my anniversary. I ate a lot of good food. I had a lot of fun walking around with my wife and getting to have discussions without our 2 children interrupting every 5 minutes and stuff. Like, it was a really fun, significant trip for me. And I would not mind at all just having this as a permanent keepsake in my collection. But I did get a good price. And if I ever need to or want to, I have a feeling there's money in selling it. So let's take a look at what I've got right now. I want to do some work on it. I've been waiting to make this video so I can do some work on it. It needs new strings. They're old. The strings are old and crusty, but it's also a mixed set. The low A was replaced at some point with an unwound string where the rest of this has a classical set on it that has a wound D and a wound low E. I'm gonna grab this microphone here so you can hear what it sounds like. I've got a Lewitt condenser mic on a goofy little gooseneck stand here. The E, B, G, and D strings sound just great together. But that low A just sounds skunky. It's the wrong string for the mix. The low E's fine. But that A, I can't do nothing with it. So I'm gonna replace all the strings on this with this set of Aguila? I'm never quite sure how to pronounce it, which is embarrassing to me because I live in San Diego and I should be able to pronounce things in Spanish. But I've got a set of Nile gut strings here that was recommended to me by my friend at Deering Banjos. I am gonna replace all the strings, obviously. I'm also gonna pull out this weird little cardboard thing here. I'm not sure what that's all about. Maybe it was meant to be like a mute. Maybe this was too bright and loud for whoever was using it. So I'll pull that out. Hopefully there's no damage under here that this is hiding or something like that. Hopefully it's not glued down. It looks fine from the back, so I kind of doubt that there's any sort of issue that I need to worry about there. I'm also gonna experiment with tightening up the skin here. My friend said that I should be able to hear like a ping when I tap it, and I'm not really hearing a ping. I'm hearing a thud, but I'm not hearing a ping. So I'm gonna experiment with tightening it up a bit. I'm not gonna try to get myself in trouble here, but I'm gonna do my best to see if I can tighten it up a little bit. And I'll, go through and clean up some old grease that's on the back of the neck and things like that. I don't wanna get it too clean. I wanna leave the patina on there. I wanna have some age to it. I'm not gonna try to perfectly restore this thing, but I wanna get it just tidied up a little bit. But before I do that, let's take a look at the details. Get this mic out of here. So tip to tail, I'll get the case out of here. On the headstock, there is this wonderful yet faded, old-timey, old-fashioned V crest logo, which I assume stands for Vega, which is the company that manufactured this fine instrument. We've got 1-to-1 ratio tuners here. No gears involved as far as I can tell, and it feels like it. It's got this sticky, jumpy, vintage tuner sort of feeling. They are made by Grover. These are patent-pending Grover badged tuners on this instrument. Really beautiful striations through these tuning pegs. I can't tell if that's cracking brought on by age or if these always had some sort of visual texture to them. It kind of looks like they always had some sort of visual texture to them, but they do have a patina. They are beautiful. Like every part of this just screams antique and authentically old. The back of the neck has some dents and dings here and there. It has some patina and grime in places where constant playing has worn away the finish. Lots of beautiful natural relicking and aging going on across the back of the neck. And yeah, I want to clean it up, but I don't want to disturb any of that too much. There's some grime back here that I'll probably knock back a little bit. There's some little scrapes here and there from rings on fingers and maybe being placed against tables and things like that. The frets seem to be in great condition. I've had no problem playing the 4 strings that sound good together at one time on this. The frets all seem to be really decent. My friend at Deering pointed out that this era did not have truss rods, so not to get too wild putting heavy duty strings on here. I think I got medium gauge or maybe light gauge. I don't remember. I think it might be light gauge. It has a darker wood stringer going up the length of the neck and some sort of veneer on the top of the headstock that has a little bit of a crack in it. I'll try to get photos of all these details here. The nut seems to be in good condition. I wonder if it's original or if it was replaced at some point. It's a chunky feeling neck. It's wide and it's not baseball bat thick, but it's headed that direction, especially compared to modern style guitar necks and things like that. But besides a little bit of grime on the fretboard, it seems like it's in really, really good condition. All kinds of these guys on the side for tightening. Some sort of mechanism right here for tightening this center bar. I don't know enough about banjos to know what that's all about. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comment section. No idea how old the skin is, if it was ever changed, if it's original. There's no way for me to know for sure. There is a badge back here, but I can't really tell what it is. I'll put photos up and all the banjo experts out there can chime in and tell me what I've got. I like this armrest here. It's a wire style armrest instead of that wrapped around chrome thing that you usually see. I like that. I think that's a fun little detail there. I like that it's slightly different from what I'm used to seeing on banjos. The strings go around the end right there. The bridge, I have no idea if it's original or not. It's a piece of wood with a clear piece of some sort of plastic on the top. I was doing some finger picking and was having trouble accidentally pulling the high E out, so we'll see if that persists as an issue. But yeah, I'm gonna turn on the air conditioner and turn on the time lapse and just get to work fixing this thing up, and then I'll check back in when it's ready to go. So something interesting I just noticed is that the majority of these tuners are locking. I didn't know there were locking tuners 100 years ago. They have this little screw on the top. One of them is missing the screw, and the other one looks like it has had a repair done to it, and the center post has been replaced with something more modern. But that's very interesting. A locking tuner from 1921. You see something new on a banjo guitar every day, right? That's the saying. I'm going to use my D'Addario cleaning kit here to knock back some of the grime and stuff like that. And a little bit of hydration for the fretboard maybe. I got it tuned up. We'll see if it stays in tune. Using these tuners is a trip. They are sticky and they are jumpy and they go all sorts of different directions. Part of that is my fault because I did a bit of an unusual winding. I wound the strings going the opposite direction on the outside E tuners here just to give them more room because they were going to end up connecting with the other strings that were going by them. I was like, let's just make them go straight over the nut here. But even without that going on, the top pegs would go in the opposite direction of the bottom pegs because they're not reversed. It's a straight peg going straight through there. So it's a bit different to tune this thing versus a modern geared ratioed guitar. It feels a bit like driving a car that doesn't have power steering. But let's check it out. Let's see what it sounds like now. Already sounds like it's slipping out of tune. It is quite a bit pingier now. I noticed that as soon as I pulled this out, it got a pinginess to it. It didn't have that before. Let's see if I put this on here now, if it'll change that. Yeah. This must have been on here to dial in a sound that the previous owner wanted. They wanted something more plunky rather than plinky. They wanted a more muted, percussive sort of sound, I suppose. I see why they did it. I see why they might have done that now. It seems strange to me at the time. But yeah, let's explore this a little bit. It really rings out now. Is that the head? No, it's the other strings ringing out. I found it, don't worry. So you gotta mute the strings if you don't want that ringing sound. All right, let's get it tuned up a little bit more, and then I'm going to tackle that little Dwayne Addy riff there. Does not want to stay in tune yet. But that's kind of what I've come to expect from classical nylon style guitar strings. They take a while to settle in. I have a feeling it's going to take me, like 10 times of tuning this a day for a week until it really settles in and balances out, and I can expect some normal tuning stability out of it. But for the time being, I gotta spend some time breaking it in and getting to know it, getting familiar with this instrument, figuring out what it likes to do, what it doesn't like to do. It feels like it's very at home playing little lead things. But then the moment I try to do like a big open chord, it just sounds out. I did set the intonation for the low E, but I might need to make adjustments for the rest of the strings with that floating bridge there. What am I even doing? I'm just having fun at this point. I wonder if I'm the first person to play surf and ska on this 100-year-old banjo guitar. Probably not the first person to play ska. Maybe the first person to play surf on it, but maybe not. Who knows? Who knows when this thing was last being used, who the last person was to play it. It has a signature on it. It says Jim Garrison. If anyone wants to do some light internet sleuthing to figure out if there is a Jim Garrison out there alive or deceased, rest in peace if that's the case, who is a known banjo player, I'd love to know. I'd love to know if that person was notable in any sort of way or just, got tired of playing banjo. Like, I'm just going to sell my banjo guitar now. That's fine too. But yeah, I'm stoked. I'm excited to get to know this instrument. I'm excited to have it around the house. I'm excited to have this really cool keepsake from my anniversary trip. I've always kind of wanted a banjo guitar, a 6-string banjo guitar. But I've had this like irrational fear in the back of my head. Like, if I want to get a banjo, I should probably get a banjo, not a banjo guitar, right? Is a banjo guitar cheating? Is that like some sort of modern adaptation of the instrument that I should steer clear of? Is it going to be like, am I going to be a poser if I get a banjo guitar? But then to find one that's over 100 years old makes me feel like that's not really anything worth worrying about. I don't care what all the banjo boys and girls out there say. I'm glad that I got this one as my first banjo-centric, banjo-adjacent instrument. Banjo players, is this a banjo? Is this a good banjo? Is this a good banjo video? Let me know down in the comment section. I'm really looking forward to the comment section. All the banjo experts out there, tell me exactly what you think of this model, of this brand, of this particular instrument that I have bought for $300 in New Orleans. I'm stoked. All right. I don't think I have anything else to say. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, dislike, leave me rude and nasty comments. Support us on Patreon. Buy a shirt if you are naked and stay grounded. Bye, everybody.